Richard Childress has made headlines once again after the recent NASCAR race at Dover by speaking bluntly on the team radio. Once the race ended and Kyle Busch finished in 11th place, Childress came on the radio and said, "We are in trouble. We have got to get some race cars, period." But what does this mean for the team's future, and how serious is this problem for RCR? To understand the frustration behind Childress's comment, we need to look at how the Dover race went and what the bigger picture looks like in the NASCAR Cup Series. At Dover, the top 8 positions were completely dominated by just 2 teams, Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports. Between the 2 organizations, they led nearly every lap of the race and finished in positions 1 through 6. These 2 teams clearly have the fastest and most consistent cars right now. This wasn't just a lucky day, it was another sign of their ongoing dominance. Meanwhile, RCR's top driver, Kyle Busch, managed to hang around the top 10 for most of the race, even though he lost some track position late in the event. He still fought back and ended up finishing 11th, which isn't terrible, but it's not good enough when you're competing against teams that are sweeping the top 6 spots. Ryan Blaney from Team Penske made a strong push as well, going from the back of the field up to 9th, but he couldn't break through the wall of JGR and Hendrick cars at the front either. So when Childress said his team was in trouble, he wasn't exaggerating. In fact, some fans feel like this should have been obvious a long time ago. Kyle Busch, a 2-time Cup Series champion and one of the most talented drivers in the sport, hasn't won a race in over 2 years since joining RCR. That alone should have set off alarm bells. When a driver with Busch's skill is consistently finishing outside the top 5 or even the top 10, it usually means the problem is with the car, not the driver. Busch currently sits 15th in the point standings. Not a terrible position, but it's also not where you'd expect him to be. He's managed to stay in the playoff conversation thanks to his experience and skill, but he hasn't looked like the dominant force we saw during his years with Joe Gibbs Racing. And therein lies the problem. RCR hasn't been able to give him the kind of equipment he needs to really contend for wins on a regular basis. Childress's statement might also have something to do with the future. RCR picked up the team option to keep Busch for next season, but after that, he can become a free agent. With several teams likely to be interested in him, this is the year where RCR needs to prove they can still be a top-level organization. If they can't show progress or deliver a car that can win, there's a very good chance Busch will look elsewhere. The team has already tried to make changes to improve. This past offseason, they hired engineers, crew chiefs, and other staff members from Stewart-Haas Racing. For example, Austin Dillon, Childress's grandson and the driver of the number 3 car, has Chase Briscoe's former crew chief this year. But so far, these changes have not produced major results. Dillon has continued to struggle. In fact, his points finishes over the last 3 seasons have been 29th, 32nd, and now 28th in 2025. He's only been competitive at one track, Richmond, and even there he didn't manage to win. It's easy to point fingers at the drivers, especially someone like Austin Dillon who has been underperforming for years. But the problems at RCR go deeper. The real issue could be in the engine shop. RCR builds its own engines through ECR Engines, which also supplies motors to other teams like Trackhouse Racing and Colleague Racing. And lately, those teams have also started to complain. A.J. Allmendinger from Colleague openly criticized ECR Engines after suffering his second blown motor this year. And drivers from Trackhouse have mentioned that they're struggling with overall speed as well. When multiple teams using the same engines are all facing similar problems, it's a strong signal that the engines themselves may be part of the issue. That brings us back to Richard Childress's public comment. NASCAR fans are used to hearing drivers vent on the radio, but when a team owner like Childress, who's been in the sport for decades, makes such a blunt statement, it certainly gets attention. It's possible that Childress is trying to send a message, both internally and externally. Maybe he's warning his team that change is needed, or maybe he's warning the public and sponsors that unless something changes soon, this team might fall even further behind. Now there's also a big playoff battle going on in NASCAR as only 5 races are left before the 2025 regular season ends. So far, 21 of the 26 races have been completed. That means there are just 5 more races for drivers to either win their way in or collect enough points to qualify for the playoffs. The pressure is very high, especially around the cut line where every position, every lap, and every stage point really matters. Right now, 12 drivers have already secured their playoff spots by winning races. That leaves only 4 spots open for others to fight for. These remaining positions will be decided by either more new winners in the final 5 races or by points. This has created a very close and intense battle between 7 to 8 drivers who are all in striking range of the playoff cut. Tyler Reddick is in a very good position right now. He's 156 points above the cut line, which gives him a big cushion. He would need to lose almost 100 points to Alex Bowman over the next few weeks, and that only happens if there are 4 new winners as well. Reddick has not won a race in 2025 yet, which is surprising since he made the championship 4 last year. But thanks to consistent points finishes, he looks safe for now unless something very unusual happens. Alex Bowman is also doing well. He's 63 points above the cut line. Bowman is the only Hendrick Motorsports driver who hasn't locked in yet, but he's been showing a strong pace. In the last few weeks, he had top 5 finishes in Mexico City, Atlanta, and Dover. His performance has improved after a weak run at Sonoma, and if he stays consistent, it's likely he'll make it into playoffs without needing a win. Chris Buescher is sitting 44 points above the cut. He's currently the top driver for RFK Racing in the standings, but his margin is small and one bad finish can change everything. Last year, he was in a similar situation and just missed out due to last-minute race winners. This time, Buescher needs to keep building that gap to avoid being pushed out again. Bubba Wallace is just 16 points above the cut line, and that puts him in a very risky spot. If any driver below the cut line wins a race in the next 5 weeks, Wallace will immediately fall out of playoff position. He hasn't won a race in over 3 years, so his chances mostly depend on scoring points in each race. Ryan Preece is right below the line, just 16 points behind Wallace. His team has been extremely consistent this season. In fact, he has 7 straight top 20 finishes, which is a good streak. He's also scored some stage points along the way, helping him stay in the hunt. Kyle Busch is 39 points behind the cut line. His 2025 season has been very up and down. There were crashes and problems, but recently, his team has started to improve. Just a few races ago, he was over 70 points behind, and now he's closed that gap to under 40. If he continues at this pace, he might reach the playoff line by race number 26, but he also has to hope no surprise driver wins in these final races, or he could still miss out. Ty Gibbs is currently 52 points below the line. He's never won a Cup race in his career so far. At the start of this season, he was struggling badly. In the first 14 races, he finished 24th or worse in 8 of those races. But in the last 7, things have changed. He's finished in the top 14 every time with 3 top 5 results. He still needs a win or more big points days to really challenge for a playoff spot, though. As always, don't hesitate to comment down your thoughts on this situation, and while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well.